Make the instant pivot into Shadow Gurdurr. The opponent sees the fighting type and send out Whimsicott and look at Shadow Gurdurr go. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have yet more crazy triple shadow shenanigans. I continue to push the boundaries and strive to showcase the most unique triple shadow content you will see anywhere on the YouTube platform. Today I invested over 700,000 of my hard-earned Stardust on pvpokes 547th rank pick Shadow Gurdurr. To put this into perspective of just how spicy this Pokemon is, Pokemon such as Jumpluff, Zweilous and even Alolan Marowak, none of which break the 2100 CP limit, are actually ranked higher than this, meaning they sim better than Shadow Gurdurr. However, that's not going to stop me looking to put it in a crazy triple shadow team. We're going to be running a double fighter strategy with my rank 1 Shadow Primeape, another Pokemon that cost me 700,000 Stardust, so this team has been a very big, very long grind to make. With that being said, without any further ado, let's hop into the battles. And in game 1, I'm going to lead Shadow Drifblim, which are anti-fairy, anti-psychic on the team, into Guzzlord. Absolutely dreadful. We're going to be utilising Gurdurr as our safe switch. Why? Because I think it's not got too much chance of closing. And hopefully we can surprise nuke some people with a Stone Edge. Speaking of which, out comes Talonflame. I force on the Stone Edge. Stone Edge! Who the hell knows Gurdurr's moveset? The opponent puts up that Protect Shield. However, as they switch late, I can shield this move up. Again, we're not going to mess around baiting. We're going to force in the next Stone Edge, flipping switch, or guaranteeing the opponent all shields down. The second Stone Edge forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. We send back out Drifblim, of course. There's no point in shielding this up, as Guzzlord's a pretty hard check for Drifblim. We tank the Flame Charge. We throw 3 Astonishes and the Icy Wind. Icy Wind will be removing Talonflame from the field of play. And when shields are down, Shadow Primeape absolutely goes to town. I spam the switch into Primeape. Out comes Gator, and if you don't know how this one's going to end, it's going to be big booms left, right, and centre. We shoot at the Hydro Cannon, back out comes Guzzlord. No one move will be lethal. The opponent fire off the Brutal Swing. Primeape going to farm up to the double CC. The first one will be moving Guzzlord from the field of play. Get that Guzzlord off my screen. When Gator does return, it's very quickly going to meet the same fate. GG's, and thanks for playing. I recently made a video with my rank 1 Shadow Primeape stating it was the best investment I ever made, and I stand by that comment. This thing is a monster. In the next battle, we see Verizion in the lead. The opponent safe switches into Shadow Drapion, and I send out Primeape. Again, I think you could bait it, as almost everyone shields this, but that's not my style. Close combat forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. As I'm debuffed, of course, Aqua Tail will be lethal. We are going to shield it up. Again, much like the previous battle, no messing around. Falls in the next close combat, guaranteeing the knockout or switch advantage. The opponent invests that Protect Shield, desperate to realign, and that's fine for me. One of the main reasons that I love using Shadow Pokemon is all of them have big nuke potential. In this case, we're going to trust in Drifblim to clean up. We're going to send out Gurdurr to operate as the damage sponge. We're going to tank back-to-back Aqua Tails, look to fire off the Brick Break, not the best moves. This isn't lethal. We're just going to snipe with 1 Astonish, getting a 1 Astonish running start. The Astonish goes through, removing Drapion from the field of play, and out comes Ampharos. Of course, typing advantage very much with the opponent. They look to farm up to the double charge move, allowing me to reach the Shadow Ball. The opponent has no shield. Shadow Ball removes Ampharos from the field of play. Back out comes Verizion. The opponent doesn't want the smoke, and they concede the match. Heading into the next battle, we see Big Squidworth in the lead position. A very nice lead for us, as Ghost does resist poison. I'm actually going to shield the first move, thinking you'd be a lunatic to go for an Acid Spray bait onto a Ghost type. After that, we're going to throw 3 Astonishes and the Shadow Ball for optimal fast move timing. It's nice and simple using a 3-turn move. You just want to throw out an odd number. Of course, as we're on an ABB team, we are going to switch out into Gurdurr to see if they've got any other fighting type counter in the back. It looks like the opponent's more than happy to stay in. They're going to fire off an Acid Spray, then yet another Acid Spray. The Glassy Shadow Gurdurr now has a -4 defense. We're going to full send the Stone Edge, just looking to remove this annoying Squid from the field of play. It goes unshielded and out comes Guzzlord. Very nice to bait this thing out, as we've got a switch advantage. Of course, I'm going to wait on my clock and send out Primeape. As the opponent was so happy to stay in against my Gurdurr, I'm recognising this is probably 2 things weak to fight in, and Tentacle was their anti-fighter. We actually correctly shield at the Sludge Bomb. We're then going to farm up to the double CC. Of course, I could fire off back-to-back, but I've already called the opponent's weak to fighting in the back. So after we force the final Protect Shield, we go for the snipe with Drifblim. Icy Wind removes Guzzlord from the field of play. Drifblim is a Guzzlord counter confirmed. Of course, I am joking, but we managed to knock him out. Out comes Licky, far too thicky, and this game is signed, sealed, and delivered. My only potential lose con is getting one turn bring in, and I'm not able to fire off the close combat. But hopefully that doesn't happen. The opponent fire off the Earthquake. We're going to fire off one further Icy Wind. Do I need to throw this move? Not particularly, but it will stall the timer. We're going to wait for the rollout to start. Snipe with the close combat, and Primeape is going to claim yet another victim. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Feraligatr in the lead. Would I recommend running triple weeks to this thing? Definitely not. We say switch into Gurdurr. As they're a shadow, I am going to shield up the Hydro Cannon. I'm then going to full send the Stone Edge. If the opponent stays in, they actually switch out into Cobalion. Not bad, to be honest. Brick Break doesn't do anywhere near as much as you'd like it to. However, the opponent might consider shielding this, and that would be great, as we're just looking to force our shield back. The opponent obliges, putting up that Protect Shield. Then heavily overfarm. Nice overfarm from the opponent, of course. They want to Stone Edge my returning balloon. Even Shadow Drifblim is able to tank a non-stab Stone Edge, so that kind of works pretty nice for me. We're just going to commit to the full Astonish farm down. Brick Break is a pretty garbage move, however it does come with a 100% chance to debuff their defense, meaning they're only going to reach one Stone Edge. The opponent makes a very heads up play, switching back out into Gator. I'm going to fire off this Icy Wind. Icy Wind won't do too much damage, but I'm hoping it puts them in a range where I can shield once and fully Karate Chop farm them down. Hopefully anyway, because if we can, we are off to the races. I look for that farm down. Unfortunately, the opponent just about reaches the departing Hydro Cannon. And unfortunately, this battle is going to end in a heartbreaking loss. The opponent sends out Typhlosion, Wincon, of course. The opponent not respecting the close combat. The opponent wisely puts up that Protect Shield. And we are going to take that loss. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we found ourselves a problem. And its name is Glisserpod. We once again utilise the Shadow Gurdurr say switch, baiting out Primarina. Very nice to bait this thing out so Primeape doesn't have to see it. We try and land the Stone Edge. The opponent puts up that Protect Shield. Boo, Mr. Opponent. They do opt to instant throw. This puts me in a situation where I can send out the balloon, go for the one shield, full Astonish farm down, and look to land the Shadow Ball at the likely returning Glisserpod. Hydro Cannon wouldn't be lethal, but would do a lot, and I am going to try and keep myself nice and healthy. Back out comes Glisserpod. Again, we're going to go for one Astonish and the Shadow Ball. Not only for optimal fast move timing, but also getting off one further Astonish. Shielding up the Hydro Cannon previously also forces the opponent to fire off a charge move at the balloon to remove me from the field of play. We've now got our one shielded Primeape versus the world. Aerial Ace Liquidation, whatever they want to throw, would do a lot. The opponent fires off the Liquidation, then send out Diance. Is that what this thing's called? Spicy Pick? I don't know. It's kind of a rock fairy type. But luckily for me, I found myself a Wincon. We're going to boost up the CC. Fire off the CC. CC removes them from the field of play when Glisserpod does return. Bug does resist fighting, but Primeape doesn't give a shit about type-ins, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. Grateful to see it in the lead position, although I'd love to see it shields down and nuke him with a Stone Edge. The opponent actually pauses for quite a long time there. Fire off the Flame Charge. I'm going to go for the one Astonish and the Icy Wind. Icy Wind wouldn't quite be lethal, but we'd probably be able to Astonish farm down afterwards. We actually look to snipe with Gurdurr. Unfortunately, the opponent still reached the charge move. I invest a Protect Shield, which is a bit questionable, but it kind of is what it is. We do get the Poison Jab farm down and a very nice running start. Out comes Annihilate, and this is probably why you shouldn't shield your save switch, because the opponent likely has a hard counter lurking in the back. We are completely walled here. This is probably the worst matchup Shadow Gurdurr could possibly find itself in. Ghost resist poison, of course, using Poison Jab as a quick move. Ghost double resist fighting, and fighting resist rock as well. We do land back-to-back Brick Breaks, which do absolutely nothing, and we find ourselves in such a rough spot. I wait on my clock, send out Drifblim, the opponent pivots out into Greninja, and this game looks all but over. We can tank any one move, not particularly well, but we can tank it. I'm going to throw 4 Karate Chops, full send the close combat, hoping the opponent thinks this is a Rage Fist bait and Annihilate is the key to victory. The opponent tanked the damage, and just like that, Wincon has been found. Drifblim, a Ghost and Flying type, triple resist counter, so I'm just going to shield up the Rage Fist, look to Astonish farm down before they boosted, counter farm me down, and somehow we escaped with a dub. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we see Steelix in the lead. We save switch into Gurdurr, a fighter that doesn't do particularly well into Steelix. Yeah, that's kind of rough. Out comes Malamar, so it's nice to bait this thing out as a Primeape doesn't have to see it and potentially can sweep in the endgame. The opponent go for a foul play. I'm thinking I can reach the next Brick Break and force myself a little shield advantage in the mid game. Unfortunately, we die at the Brick Break. Oh man. Sometimes running Spice is painful. That is such a brutal scenario. I'm just going to tank this move. Commit to the Astonish farm down. An open 2 shielded Primeape is the key to victory. Foul play does absurd damage. We pivot into Primeape. The opponent stays in, looking to fire off a Psychic Fangs. I don't know what's in the back, so I'm reluctant to shield this move up. The opponent then send out Annihilate. Oh, yeah, this one isn't going according to the script. I guess on paper, we're kind of triple hard countered. The opponent can tank this, they can shield it. Whatever they do, there's pretty much no win con for me unless the opponent has a heart attack. I'm not going to look to pay out that win con. We want to win nice and fair, and I am going to concede. Heading into the next battle. We see Verizion in the lead position. The opponent say switches into Guzzlord, and you might ask yourself, why have I sent out Gurdurr as opposed to Primeape? The brutally honest answer is Primeape is much more flexible Pokemon. It's got 100% chance to vamp up its own attack, and hits objectively harder than Gurdurr. So I'm essentially just putting Gurdurr in a matchup where it's at least got some play. Gurdurr tanks the Dragon Claw like an absolute boss, fires off the next Brick Break, getting the opponent deep into the red health range. As the opponent's double debuffed, I send out Primeape. The opponent looks to fire off one further Dragon Tail, and they get sniped. Verizion re-enters the arena. I attempt to catch onto the balloon unsuccessfully, baiting out Steelix. The balloon can tank any one move, especially when the opponent doesn't even farm up to a crunch. I don't see any reason to bait, just full send the hard hitting move, looking to do as much damage as I physically can. So worst case scenario, I can just spam out Rage Fist and look to cheese my way for the remainder of the team. The opponent looks to the Thunderfang farm down the balloon, refuses to die, fires off the Icy Wind, removing them from the field of play. Back out comes Verizion, and they've certainly found themselves in close combat range. So all I've got to do is farm up to the double. Don't mess around throwing any silly baits, you know the drill. The opponent shields the first, the second will knock them out. Ball in the opponent's court. They look to call the Rage Fist, I'm not baiting, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Gator in the lead. We're going to say switch, as always, into Shadow Gurdurr. The opponent going to fire off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon won't be lethal, but ouch, it just does so much damage. An argument could be made that I could throw a Brick Break here, but if the opponent call it, it doesn't really do anything for me. So we force in the Stone Edge, looking to do as much damage as we can, or obtaining a shield advantage. We obtain that shield advantage, but we're still in a tricky spot. Running a triple Shadow team with no Ghost or Water Resist, Feraligatr is always going to be a headache. This thing's got so much energy. I could fire off the Rage Fist here, winning CMP. However, that's kind of pointless as Rage Fist won't be lethal, and I'll be forced to double shield regardless. So instead, I'm going to double shield, throw 4 Karate Chops, maximising my farm. So if the opponent actually chooses to shield here, we just win CMP. The opponent smartly let it go, and I think this is where I make somewhat of a mistake. I'm already boosted, so I think I should throw 4 Karate Chops, then the close combat. If it goes unshielded, it near knocks him out. If it goes shielded, the opponent would probably throw the move instantly, as I'd be debuffed, so I could look to catch on the balloon. I do neither. Out comes Ampharos. I would have survived the Brutal Swing, but the opponent's got Thunder Punch, and yeah, this game is going to end in defeat. Of course, hindsight is 50-50. I do make plenty of mistakes, and this battle was pretty poorly played, and I am going to take a loss. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Annihilate in the lead. The opponent saves switches into Ampharos, and I send out Gurdurr. Gurdurr and neutral matchups are not particularly good. You're going to see it doesn't have too much bulk. However, the opponent probably puts up a Protect Shield, desperate to realign. Gurdurr just trying to keep us far away from Annihilate as I physically can keep it. Also, Primeape, especially the Shadow, can 2-shot Annihilate. So what I'm going to do here is shield this boosted Trailblaze. I'm hoping I can Karate Chop farm down before they reach another move. The opponent is going to reach what I believe is only a Brutal Swing, but we've already seen the opponents have Thunder Punch. I shield in case it's a sneaky Thunder Punch. It's just a Brutal Swing. That was kind of a wasted shield. Back out comes Annihilate. I'm going to fire off the first Rage Fist. The first one goes unshielded. We're going to bank our energy and make the pivot into the balloon, baiting out Registeel. Of course, this doesn't look fantastic. However, there's still certainly a win con. The opponent's going to be forced to throw energy, and Registeel can never ever hold 2 moves. If you want to run Mystical Fire over Icy Wind, you're then able to survive the Zap Cannon. I haven't got it, but that's fine. We're going to farm up to the double. If the opponent shield once, of course, I just throw back to back. The opponent let it go, and it's going to be a race. Can Primeape reach the 2 Rage Fists required to win this battle? You know the answer to that, as you saw the counter sneak through. The first one forces the Protect Shield, and the second is going to be all she wrote, with Primeape once again operating on cleanup duties. GG's. Heading into the next battle. Oh boy. Shadow Zapdos, what a dreadful matchup. This thing claps the entirety of the team. But if I get clapped by this, I'm not too bothered. Shout out this opponent running some very cool spice. I don't often bait, but I am going to bait this Zapdos. Sorry, Mr. Opponent. Feels bad, but you've kind of got to do whatever you can to make use of a poor situation. The opponent throws their move instantly. which means Primeape is going to be able to come in and outpace. I could actually throw on CMP if I wanted this. Primeape does have a higher attack than Zapdos. Yep, you heard that right. Shadow Zapdos, you're not the king of CMP, my boy Primeape is. The opponent actually send out Gator, of course. As they got a one-turn switch, I could have fired off the close combat first. However, what I'm actually going to do is just farm up to the double. Close combat removes them from the field of play, and out comes Cobalion. Of course, I could have close combat there, guarantee the shield, but instead I'm going to bank all of my energy knowing Zapdos is very close to Rage Fist range. The opponent full send a Stone Edge. The opponent going to farm up, try for the Shadow Ball catch onto Cobalion. Nah, trainer. We see it coming in, fire off the Icy Wind. Can the opponent Thundershock farm down the balloon? They cannot. We reach one further Icy Wind. Icy Wind, of course, easily going to knock out. We've got a whole heap of energy bank. The opponent playing out the inevitable. They're on low health. Rage Fist would have got the job done, but why not full send their close combat? GG's to that opponent. For those of you wondering, Zapdos has a very impressive 175 attack, but Primeape even more impressive with a big fat 182. In the next battle, once again, we see Gator in the lead position. We say switch into Gurdurr. Out comes Venusaur. Can you believe we actually win CMP here? I couldn't believe it. That was news to me, but I am not complaining. You might think after spending 700,000 Stardust on a Pokemon, I'd research and find out what it can and can't do. I had no idea on its attack stat, but I've checked now and it's got 164, which is 6 higher than Venusaur's 158. Of course, I wasn't lagging there. I just stopped attacking, wanting to farm my balloon. The opponent, clearly not a potato, knew that. They also stopped attacking. Back out comes Gator. I farmed up, go for the Rage Fist bait. I guess whatever I do here, I'm kind of screwed. I'm going to be switch locked, so even though I knocked him out of a close combat, if the opponent's got any sort of fast move pressure there, I'd be in trouble. We are going to double shield, fully cheese our way through this matchup, but the opponent's got a 2-0 shield advantage. Today's battles were played in the 2600s, and some players are pretty good. I think this opponent's played really well, thoroughly outplayed me. I attempt to snipe again, the opponent like, nah, I've got another check for your balloon in the form of our Wall Rain. We can tank the Icicle Sphere. I guess my Wincon is landing the Shadow Ball, but I think the opponent always shield this move. We full send it, the opponent finally gives up a Protect Shield. We could win CMP here, but I actually get one turn bring in, but that's neither here nor there. This game is over. The opponent go for the cheeky undercharge, being very disrespectful, but they can enjoy their fun, and they can see me getting clapped on my own channel. We fire off the close combat. Back out comes Venusaur with residual energy. They're going to fire off the Frenzy Plant and take that game. GG's that opponent. I know a lot of people don't like to show their losses, but I can't laugh at myself. I can't laugh at other people. Heading into the next battle, we see a dreadful lead. The opponent saves switches into Talonflame. Please, does the opponent respect the damage? Oh. Another Stone Edge shielded. Who the hell honestly knows Shadow Gurdurr's moveset? Of course, today's team is inspired by X-Boston, and it was my intro clip yesterday, landing a Stone Edge on knockdown. So X-Boston, I'm blaming you for that, buddy. On a more serious note, we have managed to obtain ourselves a shield advantage, which is always nice. Icy Wind will be removing Talonflame from the field of play, or not, as the opponent double shields, and let's go Primeape. I don't concede the farm down, saving the balloon as a potential sack swap and send out Primeape. Of course, I could have thrown a move there to not take the incinerate damage, but I don't want to dump energy on such a low health mon. Back out comes Guzzlord. We fire off 2 karate chops, meaning the second Dragon Tail will not register. Out comes Drapion. Sorry, channel mascot, it's Primeape's time to shine. One close combat won't be lethal, so I vamp up my own attack, then fire off the close combat, and Primeape gonna sweep the entire team. GG's. Heading into the next battle. Oh god, here we go again. Shadow Gator, we're gonna say switch into Gurdurr. Can we finally beat this Shadow Gator lead? Hopefully. We're gonna shield at the Hydro Cannon. Every time I've Stone Edged, they've shielded, so I'm actually gonna go for a Brick Break. They actually catch the Brick Break, but they catch it onto Verizion, and that certainly works for me. We're going to fire off 4 Poison Jabs and the next Brick Break. This Brick Break won't be lethal, but we'll put them in a perfect farm down range for our balloon. It's very nice when the opponent counter swaps something into Gurdurr we've actually got play into. We're easily going to be able to astonish farm down before they reach a Stone Edge. They actually don't make anything whatsoever. The opponent thinking about what to send out. And they actually send out a Sandslash. I was really hoping the opponent caught the Shadow Ball onto Gator, thinking it was an Icy Wind or Mystical Fire. They didn't, but they do put up a Protect Shield, and just like that, Wincon has been found. Of course, whatever Sandslash throws will do objectively less than Gator, so we're always tanking this move. We bait back out Gator, And Primeape now smelling blood in the water, saying it's time for redemption. We shield the Hydro Cannon, farm up to the double Rage Fist. You can see that wasn't CMP, so if the opponent shields this, they've now got the Hydro Cannon required, but spoiler alert, you don't win CMP. Rage Fist removes Gator from the field of play. We are now heavily boosted. Karate Chop, tearing through Sand Slash. We hold strong, surviving the Shadow Claws, reach one further Rage Fist, and finally, the Shadow Gator lead is defeated. GG's. Heading into the next battle, we see someone else running Primeape. Shout out to this opponent, I think Primeape is such a monster in this meta. More people need to respect these glass cannons and stop hiding behind bulk. The opponent fire off the Rage Fist, go for the Icy Wind catch onto Drapion. I'm going to throw the Icy Wind regardless, as after throwing this, we can survive 2 Aqua Tails, and we then pivot out into our own Primeape. You're going to see 2 Aqua Tails are survivable. Ooh, Sludge Bomb, very, very nice. We're then going to farm up, throw the close combat on the CMP tie. This is a CMP tie to a Crunch. Crunch probably knocks us out. If it didn't before, it certainly will with a lower defense. Primeape obtains us a shield advantage. I often double shield here, but I'm just going to save Gurdurr with a couple of shields as I spent 700,000 Stardust on it, hoping it can do something. The opponent pivots back out into Primeape, goes straight for a Rage Fist. You never want to shield the first one, as the second will do even more damage. You can see we tank that reasonably well. We are going to be able to outpace to a Brick Break. If this Brick Break goes unshielded, it will remove them from the field of play. I've now got the option to switch, whereas the opponent will be switched up with whatever they send out. Another reason I didn't switch is the opponent is trying to bait back out my balloon, which I was not willing to do. The opponent forced to reveal their third, send out Tentacruel. The opponent's switch timer will be popping up shortly, so I pause a turn, ensuring the Shadow Ball lands on its intended target. We force the opponent's final Protect Shield. Drapion re-enters the arena. We fire off the Icy Wind. Icy Wind isn't quite lethal. However, the opponent unable to reach a charge move. We Astonish farm down. Back out comes Tentacruel. The opponent instant throws, giving me a free Astonish. Win con, nice and simple. Shield up whatever they throw. Fire off the Shadow Ball. It's going to be high Squidworth, buy Squidworth. Remove yourself from my screen, and we take that game. In the next battle, once again, we found ourselves a problem, and its name is Malamar this time. Don't try these teams at home. These are definitely for entertainment purposes only. I'm going to shield up the foul play. The thing with Shadow Drifblim users, people love to bait. I'm going to heavily overfarm and full send the Shadow Ball, hoping to sneak it through 2 Protect Shields. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Shadow Ball picks up the one shot. Let's see what comes out. The opponent sends out Drapion. We pivot into Gurdurr, baiting out G-Weezy, and things look to be going very, very well. Of course, out of all the fighting types you could possibly run, one running Poison Jab is certainly where you want to align it against the Fairy. Stone Edge does massive damage. The opponent very nicely overfarm before firing off the Play Rough. However, as they're not a Shadow G-Weezy, my balloon isn't in Brutal Swing range. Brutal Swing very spammy, but doesn't hit particularly hard. We tank the Brutal Swing, commit to the full Astonish, farm down. I'm going to then fire off one further Astonish and the Icy Wind. Icy Wind will be permanently debuffing that Drapion, and it's time to pivot out into Primeape. And of course, am I going to close combat? No, I'm not. There's no need to. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4, spam the Rage Fist, and look to cheese my way through the remaining HP. As they're debuffed, we can survive even a Sludge Bomb. Not that I expected the opponent to have it. We get Sludge Bombed to the face, but that's fine. Debuffed, it doesn't get the job done. I think at this stage, the opponent should be committing to fast moves. We sneak the Karate Chop, meaning we're going to be able to Karate Chop farm down and take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see the Battle of Spies, and we found ourselves another thing that pretty much claps my team. Thankfully, the opponent doesn't farm up to a potential Thunderbolt. They just fire off the Psychic Fangs and then pivot out into Gator. I'm thinking this is the easiest Icy Wind call of your life, trainer. Shadow Ball, of course, goes shielded. Fuck. Shadow Gator once again going to be a big problem for me. I'm thinking, how the hell do I beat this thing? I'm thinking, can I double shield and Poison Jab farm down? For that to be possible, we need 5 Poison Jabs to knock him out. Have a look at the HP bar. These non-stab Poison Jabs simply aren't cutting it. If I would have known my attack stat, I probably would have thrown on CMP there. However, of course, I only figured that out when I was recording this video. So we opt to throw before, the opponent double shields, and I'm thinking, with shields down, Primeape might be able to nuke everything. We send out Primeape to get a very cheeky running start. Come on, show me something we can nuke in the back. Out comes Clefable. That isn't something we can nuke. Both me and my opponent try to make the catch. My catch attempt is unsuccessful. The opponent fire off the Psychic Fangs. I go for an undercharge because I'll be honest, I've got no idea how bulky this Giraffe rig is. Clearly, if I would have hit all the bubbles, I still would have knocked them out. It kind of is what it is. The opponent is going to fire off one further Psychic Fangs. Primeape is going to be able to fully Karate Chop farm down. We are going to leave with a double CC, so if the opponent got one turn bring in, we would win this battle, but the opponent has thrown on CMP, and once again, in this battle of spies, Jamie Finn will not be merging victorious. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Verizion in the lead. We like this lead, let's see what they counter swap. Thankfully, it wasn't Drapion. Most people say switch Drapion, which can be a problem. Instead, they start Licky far too thicky. The opponent fire off the Shadow Ball. Gurdurr withstands the damage. We then go for the correct one poison jab and the Brick Break. Brick Break, force of protection. That's probably because the opponent's thinking, what the heck does this thing run? I can't blame the opponent. To be honest, I didn't even know Gurdurr's moveset until I built it myself. Gurdurr able to survive the body slam, reaching one further Brick Break. Brick Break, of course, even with -1 defense, isn't lethal because Brick Break is just garbage. I'm going to send out Primeape. Primeape can tank any one move. The opponent farm up to the Shadow Ball. Licky doesn't hit all that hard, and the opponent's never ever double kick farm me down again. We're going to try for a Leaf Blade or Sacred Sword catch unsuccessfully. Out comes Sandslash. Typing advantage. Well, actually, the typing advantage is neutral. The opponent is hitting us for super effective, whereas we are only hitting for neutral. However, with 2-to-1 shield advantage, we are going to be able to beat this Sandslash going straight Shadow Ball. So again, I see no reason to bait. Guarantee the big damage or that final Protect Shield. The opponent obliges, putting up that Protect Shield. We shoot up the Ice Punch, fire off the Shadow Ball. You can see the Astonish have already gotten below half health. So the Shadow Ball will easily be lethal. All I've got to do is Astonish this thing into a range where close combat will be lethal. That certainly looks like close combat range to me. The opponent actually don't even have Stone Edge, which means we get off yet more Astonish damage. The opponent finally going to remove the balloon from the field of play. We've got the close combat banked. And is there any doubt? Of course there isn't. Close combat picks up the one shot and we take that game. Head into the next battle. We see Typhlosion in the lead. The instant pivot into Gurdurr. The opponent sees the fighted typing and send out Whimsicott, something double weak to poison. I am so stingy with shields. This is the easiest one shield and poison jab farm down of my life. However, I thought, let's try and get a shield advantage in the mid-game. But the opponent doesn't shield, and I instantly regret my shielding decision, as we've got nothing that tanks and Incinerate particularly well whatsoever. I think shielding there was a much better play. Of course, I go down a shield, which is something I don't want to do, but sometimes, Jamie, you've just got to hit that bloody shield button. We then could have debuffed this Typhlosion into oblivion. We send out the balloon. Blast Burn would be lethal. Thunder Punch is survivable. We call the Thunder Punch. The opponent sends out Moltres. I get sniped. I looked to hit the Icy Wind, and unfortunately, we're unable to get it off. Primeape now tasked with a very tall task of sweeping this team. Of course, I doubt the opponent's going to Brave Bird, so we call the Ancient Power. Again, this is only an Ancient Power, but I'm kind of forced to shield. Of course, if I debuff myself here, we'll die to an Incinerate, so I'm thinking the Wing Con is fire off Rage Fist after Rage Fist, and hope when Typhlosion gets switched in, they're going to get sniped by my Karate Chop damage before the Incinerate registers. Is that possible? Out comes Typhlosion. We're unable to snipe. We get sniped ourselves, and we're going to end today's video with a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's shoutcast of my own battles. I guess you don't really need me to tell you this team was for entertainment purpose only. Shadow Gurdurr, not particularly good, whichever way you look at it. It's very deserving of his 547th ranking because it does not pick up too many meta wins whatsoever. Of course, you are going to see other content creators that showcase Spice. However, most people when they showcase Spice put it behind two very bulky, very powerful top meta picks. I run it in a very glassy triple shadow team, so if you appreciate me staying true to myself, consider leaving a like. Yeah, don't try this team at home. Eventually, I will push this Gurdurr all the way to Master League, where I think it's going to have more play in MLP as a Conkeldor. So enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. Link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.